game.
Before we got our gaming information in bite-sized chunks of digital gossip, gaming was explored predominantly in one medium.
Megazone,
Hyper Magazine,
PC Power Play, the
N64 Gamer,
Atomic.
PC Active,
Games TM,
Mean Machines,
Australian Android,
Edge.
Game Informer,
PlayStation Magazine.
Working within the magazines was crazy, and I think it came through in the magazines. You could see that everyone was having fun.
I think it was a lot like music in the 1960s, and that there was evolution and revolution happening all around us, and we certainly tried to share and communicate that excitement with our readers, and we expected it to go on forever.
We were all, really young. We were just sort of in love with games, and, if we weren't sort of playing games at work, we were playing games with each other.
A magazine should be as fun to read as a game is to play.
But I do remember having the collection. I had, the first 30 or 40 Power Plays and the first 30 or 40 Hypers. I remember some of those early covers. I remember the Duke Nukem 3D cover for PC Power Play, which could be the first.
Internet wasn't a thing, so you pretty much just had to rely on any information you could get from friends or that you could get from a magazine that you found on a shelf.
It was Megazone that really took gaming magazines beyond niche.
Megazone had an easy ride because they had club memberships, as well as it being sold in newsagents. Every single gamer in the country knew about Megazone and probably bought copies from time to time.
Now we take for granted the amount of information we have access to about a game with trailers, let's plays, and early access betas. But there was something special about digesting the culture of video games purely through the written word.
When you have the luxury of being the only source of information on a game for a reader, before there was internet, when there were only 2 or 3 games magazines, you also have the luxury of doing a proper job of the write-up. You could do 5 pages on one game if it was a big game. That allowed you to, as if you were telling a friend excitedly about a game, you have to play this and explain why.
If you get excited about something, it's easy to make other people excited. If you're not, it's not really worth covering.
There would be some issues where there was only one new game to review. We had to be pretty good at injecting a lot of kind of fun and humour into it.
I still think it was a case of you had to be a good writer first and care about games second, but at the same time, it was definitely more of an enthusiast sort of thing, where it was like, we love games, we love talking about games, here's all the games. Most of the graphics were pretty basic, most of the gameplay was pretty basic, so most of what we did was just had fun, we looked for the fun in it all.
Of course, it wasn't just what was inside the magazine that was the selling point.
The magazine cover is critical in terms of your sales. A good or a bad cover can halve or double your sales.
If you plot the graphs out of all your magazine sales, you can tell the bad covers. You can tell exactly when a cover hasn't done the business for you. So it's very important. It's the first thing anyone sees. It's the thing that makes most people decide to buy or not buy a magazine. So it's the ultimate thing. It's paramount. It's just so important.
To the PR industry in this country and around the world, it's obviously terrific free advertising for their game.
Having your game on the cover of a magazine is like a trophy.
Some of our best issues in Game Informer sales-wise have been our Halo cover, Batman cover, our Assassin's Creed cover, our Tomb Raider cover was a big hit.
There's others where you're just taking that little bit of a risk. For PlayStation, I spoke to the head office and said, look, I'd love to do 4 different covers for Little Big Planet. So we actually got 4 characters made up for 4 different covers all going out at the same time. And it was a little bit risky and it worked.
But a great image doesn't always mean the biggest game of the day. Monster Hunter Freedom Unite did great cuts because it was a fantastic image.
Flicking through the pages to see a score is something we all do, and we've got magazines to thank for that. But is the future of print journalism one without a number?
Scores are essential because they validate the editorial you've written.
I think that the text should come first and foremost.
I hate scores. Like, there's no scientific way of looking at a score. There's no, way to sit down and calculate the score.
Scores basically served the same purpose as a box out in a magazine. It was something that grabbed people's attention. Oh my God, that game got a 10.
oh, I need to read this review.
People want to be able to just take away a sort of an essence of whether it's a good or a bad game in a few seconds. And that's your job as a games journalist, to sort of deliver what the audience wants.
In the face of getting everything you could possibly want to know about a game with just the click of a button, is there still a future in a format that's tied to the slow-turning wheels of the printing press?
You know, as the sort of speed of Australian internet increases, if we ever get there, you know, I think it's going to move much more to a video-focused content for games.
The entire world is changing, and because we've got this digitally tuned in gamer audience, they're all online. So who's buying the magazines?
We have a pretty vibrant newsstand culture in Australia, so I think for the fact that Australians like reading magazines and buying magazines, there's a lot less though, so I think that's probably telling.
In terms of the sort of, you know, the physical paper magazine, I think they'll stick around for quite a while.
There's the odd argument of a magazine is a nice, tangible, physical thing to hold, to put in your bag and read on the train, to put on the bookshelf and build up a collection.
People want to keep it, they want to be able to travel with it, and I still really like reading paper.
There's something about a print publication which would be really sorely missed, but you can't argue with the way technology is going.
Will they survive? Every publisher around the country and the world is asking themselves that every day and trying to find out solutions. It's impossible to crystal ball that one, but I hope that they survive.